Are NBA rings always about greatness or just a bit of luck? Sometimes a second-round pick like Patrick McCaw ends up with 3 rings in 3 years, or a role player like Robert Horry becomes a hero with 1 big shot. Even guys like Dion Waiters find themselves sharing the floor with LeBron James and Kevin Durant, moments that define careers. From Michael Jordan's iconic jumper to Serge Ibaka's lucky trade, one twist of fate can change a player's story forever. Stay with us as we break down moments where timing beats talent and why one chance can matter more than years of stats. Don't miss these stories that reveal the NBA's biggest secrets. Patrick McCaw. Patrick McCaw might be one of the NBA's best examples of how luck and timing can shape a career. Drafted in the 2nd round, he landed with a Golden State Warriors team that featured stars like Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant. McCaw didn't have to carry the team or post huge stats. He just needed to be ready when called upon. In his first 3 seasons, he won 3 championships, 2 with Golden State and 1 with the Toronto Raptors. Averaging roughly 4 points a game, he was far from a headline name, but he stepped in when needed and became a symbol of how one well-timed opportunity can create a memorable NBA legacy. Robert Horry. Robert Horry may never have been an all-star, but he retired with an astonishing 7 NBA championship rings, making him one of the league's luckiest role players. From Houston to Los Angeles and San Antonio, Horry always found himself on teams with giants like Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, and Tim Duncan. Yet it was his clutch 3-pointers that shaped moments when victory felt out of reach. Big Shot Rob became a symbol of a role player who thrived because of ideal circumstances and opportunity. In a league built for superstars, Horry reminded every hopeful player that one shot can outshine an entire resume when it arrives in the biggest moments. Dion Waiters. Dion Waiters entered the NBA as a fiery guard from Philadelphia, gaining a reputation for being fearless and relentless. He was never an all-star, but what made him one of the NBA's luckiest was the company he kept. Waiters shared the floor with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook, gaining moments that shaped his place in NBA history. Surrounded by elite teammates, he embraced the chance to sink critical shots when it counted, making himself a memorable piece of every roster he joined. His story shows that sometimes a role player doesn't have to dominate every night. He just needs to be ready, prepared, and in the right place when the opportunity arrives. Kevin Willis. Kevin Willis personifies how persistence combined with the right moment can redefine an NBA career. After nearly 2 decades as a dependable big man, he signed with the San Antonio Spurs in 2003. At 40, when most had retired, he embraced a veteran role for a team chasing a championship. Surrounded by Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and Tony Parker, Willis didn't have to dominate, he just had to contribute. In that moment, after countless seasons of hard work, he earned the one thing every player dreams of, a championship ring. His story proves that sometimes a long, patient career can be crowned by a stroke of luck, reminding us how being in the right spot can matter as much as talent. Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka came into the NBA as a talented, hard-working defender. Drafted by Seattle and developed by the rising Oklahoma City Thunder, he was always a solid role player. But in 2019, a well-timed trade sent him to the Toronto Raptors, where he suddenly found himself alongside rising star Kawhi Leonard and a team chasing its first championship. In that setting, Ibaka became an integral piece, a veteran providing rim protection, toughness, and poise. Without that move, he might have remained an overlooked role player. Instead, he became a champion and a symbol of how one trade, combined with grit and timing, can redefine a player's legacy. Sometimes, one shift can shape an entire career. Mitch Richmond. Mitch Richmond was one of the best scorers of his era, averaging over 20 points per game for a decade, but he spent much of his career carrying struggling teams. Yet in 2001, as his NBA journey was winding down, fortune smiled. He signed with the Los Angeles Lakers and suddenly found himself surrounded by giants like Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. In that role, Richmond didn't have to dominate, just contribute when called upon. The result was a championship ring that came as his career was fading. Richmond's story is a reminder that in the NBA, one lucky shift can redefine a legacy. Sometimes it's not about how long you dominate, but where you land when fate arrives. Bob Cousy. Bob Cousy rose to greatness thanks to the sheer NBA twist of fate that shaped his path. Overlooked by many, he landed in Boston, where Red Auerbach and Bill Russell built a dynasty. Suddenly, this flashy point guard was in the ideal spot, surrounded by giants, making him a cornerstone of a franchise that changed the game. In another era or on another team, he might have been ignored, but Boston gave him a chance to win. His story reminds every hopeful player that it's not always about stats or talent. Sometimes it's about finding the right team at the right moment. In the NBA, fortune can matter more than anything else. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal dominated the NBA like few others, yet even one of the best centers ever benefited from moments of sheer right moment and opportunity. Late in his career, after championship wins in Los Angeles and Miami, he searched for one final chapter of glory. In 2006, surrounded by rising star Dwyane Wade and an inspired Miami Heat roster, he found it, capturing another NBA title and cementing his legacy. Even for a player as dominant as Shaq, finding the right team at the right moment shaped the ending of a legendary career. His story reminds every hopeful player that sometimes even giants need a stroke of fortune to finish their journey with a storybook ending. Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups earned the nickname Mr. Big Shot because he embraced moments when the odds felt stacked against him. In the 2004 Eastern Conference Finals, down a point and seconds left, a missed free throw and a desperate three-quarters court heave banked in as the buzzer sounded. The Detroit Pistons surged to win the series and went on to claim the NBA championship. What set Billups apart was how he thrived when the spotlight was brightest. He proved that in a league built for giants, one well-timed shot can mold a career and a franchise. His legacy reminds every hopeful player that a single stroke of fate can matter more than a lifetime of stats. Michael Jordan. Even the greatest of all time benefited from moments when fate and precision came together. In the 1998 NBA Finals, with the Utah Jazz threatening a Game 7, Michael Jordan rose for a jumper that became one of the most iconic moments in sports history. The ball floated over Brian Russell, kissed the rim, and dropped in, delivering a sixth championship for the Chicago Bulls. It was a moment where a lifetime of relentless work met a sliver of chance, the final stroke that defined an era. Jordan's journey reminds every hopeful player that in a sport built for superstars, a tiny moment of luck can seal immortality. In the NBA, it's not always just about stats or dominance. Sometimes it's about moments, timing, and a bit of luck. From role players like Patrick McCaw and Robert Horry to legends like Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal, one chance can redefine an entire career. It makes you wonder, is it pure talent, a stroke of luck, or a mix of both? What do you think separates a champion from the rest? Hard work, timing, or fate? Let us know in the comments. If these stories inspired you, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share this video. Because in the NBA and life, one moment can change everything.